Hey friends, welcome to the channel. If you struggle to read a book in your target language, you found the right video. Los geht's! My name is Dustin. I'm an IT project manager from Germany. On this channel we create content that helps us to be more productive, to learn new things, especially languages, and to live a happier and more fulfilling life. Today I want to talk about reading books in foreign languages and specifically about goal setting and staying motivated. So far I've read books in 6 different languages, and after making many mistakes and quite some struggle, I want to make your life easier. Alright, let's dive into today's First, you know what comes next, a nice sip of coffee. Los geht's. First of all, why should you set yourself goals? Because in order to achieve a thing, you need to first know what it is you want to achieve. This way you can better manage your expectations and progress towards fluency. But it's important to set realistic goals and also include a progress. So you can start with the end goal, which is kind of your North Star. If you make it in a way that it can be measured, then it's vision and goal in one. Let me give you an example. If you say you want to learn a language, then you mean you want to reach a certain fluency in it. That you can just grab a book from a shelf and read it without translations, for example. As well as having a conversation with a native speaker unprepared for at least an hour, maybe. There you can then work your way backwards and baby step towards it. How to do that when it comes to progressing to read a full-blown novel, I've already described in this video here. A general tip for effective goal setting is to follow the SMART framework. So S stands for specific. I want to read and listen through Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in language X. I don't know, whatever language you're learning. Then the M, which stands for measurable. For that, I want to read every evening before I go to bed for a half hour, for example. Then achievable, by using LingQ, I can see words that I don't know, look them up and also get translations for phrases in context. The R stands for relevance, so with the methods described, I can increase my known vocabulary and improve my comprehension on the way to fluency. And then time-based, the T, as long as I keep reading every evening, I will finish the book within the next, let's say 3 months, for example. Make also sure to do activities that are as close to the skill you want to achieve as it can get. If you want to be able to read books, then you should read simpler stuff to get to that level instead of using artificial apps. When it comes to setting goals, it's also important to write them down. It's not sufficient to have them in mind, but you should have a way to follow up on them and to hold yourself accountable. I have created a template for that in my favorite note-taking tool called Notion. And if you're interested, you can use my template for free. For that, have a look at this video here. Another important point here is to overcome reading plateaus. When learning a language, it's important that you always adapt the things that you are reading. After a while, things become too easy and then it's time to move on to more difficult material to still progress. Of course, here we need to differentiate between intensive and extensive reading. Nevertheless, in any case, there should be a few new words and phrase constructions that help us to build up our comprehension. We can also artificially increase the difficulty by not using translations, try to read faster, then also to listen to the content at a higher speed, etc. Get early on a paper book that you would like to be able to read and use it as a reference to see how far you've got. This way you have a physical item that you can look at and that reminds you where you want to go. Take it from the shelf every now and then and flick through it. In the beginning it'll be just gibberish for you. But after a while you'll be able to understand single words and then maybe even a few phrases from context. Until one day you can just read it without needing translations at all. Make it a habit that it just becomes automatic and you don't really have to motivate yourself. So identify times throughout the day that you can use to do your reading practice. Maybe it's just before going to sleep, while you're already in bed, or maybe it's during your lunch break. When you do it over and over again, it'll be really the new normal and there is no willpower required anymore to do it. Only choose content that is interesting to you. And I can't emphasize enough on this one. It's not optional. We learn better from stuff that we find interesting, and also it's easier to get going and to spend more time with the language. Don't try to play the hero and suffer your way through, but be creative instead. Book clubs are also very useful and I can highly recommend them to you. I, for example, read my first French book as part of an initiative that Robin McPherson had started and reflected about it by writing diary posts once per day. Knowing that others were reading the same book and that we had a deadline helped me really to stay accountable. Just Google for book clubs in your area, or just use a virtual one like I did. Your peers can also read the book in other languages than you are, if translations are available, of course. This way it can also become easier to find reading buddies. You should be aware that reading literature and other cultural texts in a foreign language can deepen your understanding of the culture, history and society associated with that language. Learning the language is one thing, but to be able to understand the people, it takes more. You need to be able to understand cultural references that also change generation by generation. For that you can try to find out what is part of today's pop culture. What are the most read books and which genres are currently mostly on vogue. Like nowadays, dystopian scenarios are very trendy, and that tells us a lot about society, at least in most of the languages I study. What's also very useful is to review what gets read at school, because the majority of the people know those and can be overarching generations. Like in Dutch, I've read Kruistocht in Spijkerbroek, and most Dutch persons I've asked for it also knew that book, and thus I've had already quite a few nice conversations about it and could understand a bit better the Dutch culture. And that's basically it. Please let me know in the comments if you have any other tips when it comes to reading and listening practice. I've got another video about how to get to the point of actually being able to read a full-blown novel here. Or if you want to know my favorite app for learning languages through reading, have a look at this video here. If you found the video useful, leave me a like and a subscription to the channel, and to not miss anything going forward, click also on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and see you the next time.